Hi, I'm Karen Polito, and this is my digital story for Introduction to Sociology. My project title is The Stigma of Mental Health in Mexican Culture. Mental health is just as important as physical health, but in many Mexican families, going to therapy is seen as a sign of weakness. According to the National Alliance of Mental Illness, only 34% of Latinos with mental health conditions get treatment compared to the national average of 45%. From a sociological perspective, this highlights the impact of social stigma and cultural norms that make it hard to talk openly about mental health. In Mexican culture, therapy is often seen as something for crazy people or a sign that someone isn't strong enough or doesn't have enough faith. This is an example of symbolic interactionism, where the words that we use and the cultural meanings we attach to things shape the way that we view mental health. In Mexican culture, strength and resilience are a big deal. From a young age, we hear phrases like aguántate, which means tough it out, or échale ganas, which means push it through it, which is teaching us to keep going no matter what. This fits with structural functionalism because these values help keep society stable by encouraging people to persevere, but at the same time, they create a stigma around seeking help. Sociologist Evan Goffman talks about how people who ask for support can be labeled as weak or even crazy. Religion also plays a huge role. Many believe that prayer alone should be enough to deal with emotional struggles, which this connects to Pierre Bourdiers's idea of cultural capital, where in deeply religious communities, therapy might be seen as unnecessary or even taboo. Even for who those that seek help, there may be a lot of barriers. One, therapy can be expensive and insurance or may not cover it all for everyone. For many first generation Mexican Americans, it's also tough to find a therapist who speaks Spanish or understands their cultural background. Also, there's many Mexican people who have came to the United States and are not able to get therapy because of their immigration status, where they need to have citizenship to be able to get insurance. These issues point to a bigger problem of the healthcare inequality, where people from marginalized communities face extra challenges getting the care that they need. On top of that, they often fear being judged by their family or the community, which can make it even harder to reach out. This is a result of socialization, where the norms we grow up with shape how we behave. From a young age, a lot of us are taught to keep mental health struggles private or to ignore them altogether, which brings me to talking about when ignoring mental health issues, they don't make them disappear. Stress and anxiety and depression can cause serious problems, even affecting your physical health. Like, it can raise your blood pressure, which can increase risk of heart attacks. From a sociological point of view, this is an example of medicalization, where things like stress, which were once a part of everyday life, are now treated as medical issues. In the Mexican community, untreated mental health struggles often lead to substance abuse and intergenerational trauma, where unhealthy patterns continue to affect families over time. Seeking help isn't a weakness, it's actually a sign of strength. For example, myself, despite my cultural barriers, I have reached out for help to find a way to heal and not continue to have intergenerational traumas. so that it stops with me. So I think it's time as a society to break the stigma, and change can happen when we can challenge the culture norms that hold us back and push us for better. Mental health is just as important as physical health, and when seeking help, it should be something we talk about openly, not something to be ashamed of. Symbolic interactionism shows us that the way we see mental health is shaped by meanings we give to things like therapy and mental illness. If we change the way we think about it, we can change the way we treat it. Mexican culture is all about strength and resilience, but strength is also means knowing when to ask for help. We need to create a space where people feel comfortable talking, so that we make sure everyone has access to resources, support, and those who are